Good YouTube, it's boardzy, and this is going to be a shocking video covering the most innovative peripheral, the gaming mouse skate. And I have some mouse skates made of materials you can't pronounce from our friends in Japan, nTech, who I made a video on their like 3D printed pieces that modify shapes a while back after my trip to Japan. They also made mouse skates at the time, but I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't impressed. But their latest offerings, these are impressive, to say the least, and they are very expensive. So if you are looking for the best budget mouse skates, get like 40 dot skates from AliExpress for $1. The in-game experience is going to be similar, but this is kind of a luxury item, but it's just very unexplored territory. And what I mean by that is we have really never seen exotic material soft mouse skates. As long as I've been interested in mice, I've heard of ceramic skates, glass skates, sapphire skates are a thing, even TJ exclusives with plastic skates, but we have never seen people use materials like Ultem, Polyacetal, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, that's what I have on the Zowie U2, and these are maybe the most interesting. I know I was like kind of introducing the skates, but these are fucking crazy fast. It's pretty much like looks-wise, you could tell a lot of people this is PTFE and they wouldn't blink an eye, but when you're using it, just imagine like Jade's just very fast PTFE dots and then just amplify that experience. And this is actually the balanced variant. All of the skates come in two types with different shapes. I'll throw up a picture that I think like pretty clearly shows the difference. And yeah, pretty much with speed, as you can see, you get this dome-shaped skate. It's not flat like a traditional skate, so I do think just as a broad blanket statement, balanced probably will be more safe for people. And yeah, there definitely is a noticeable difference. The mouse just comes to a stop easier. The initial and dynamic friction are both noticeably higher when you have the balanced variant as opposed to the speed. There is also obviously a difference in like your just general stability when there's one higher point making contact as opposed to the entire skate. But it's definitely not something so fast it's uncontrollable, at least not in my experience, like in my testing. And on some pads, depending on the texture, I did find like the dome shape to actually increase the ease of like stopping the mouse. I guess stopping power would have been an easier way to say that. But yeah, a few of these, specifically the Turcite and the Polyacetal, just feel like very similar to PTFE gliding experiences. I mean, Turcite, I believe, is PTFE like mixed with resin or maybe something else. I don't really know. I'm not a fucking chemist. If there are any chemists you want to give info about these materials, obviously feel free to do so. But next up is going to be Ultem, a material I first learned about because it was actually what the Final Mouse Starlight 12 base was made out of. And in this case, with the speed version on my Viper Mini Signature, these play extraordinarily fast. I do have the balanced version on my WL Mouse Beast X Max. You can get this Zebra collab version. It is live, by the way, unrelated. Yeah, the thing with Ultem is it's very fast. I've said that before, though, with the Polyacetal, so I'll explain the difference. Like I said, these kind of just feel like a cracked up PTFE, where you do still kind of get it digging into the pad, picking up some of the texture, offering you control in that way. But the Ultem is just a much more slippery material. Specifically with the speed version, I do actually find it kind of hard to come to a stop sometimes. The mouse just wants to like wiggle around, and it's just very smooth in a way where PTFE, it's kind of like a choppy feeling when you're moving the mouse such a small amount. But these, I hate saying something's like good for micro corrections because people overuse that term, and these actually might not be, depending on like your flicking style, but there is just a lot of speed in every situation. There's no time where it feels like these are controlled. But yeah, with the balanced version, it definitely does tone down some of the kind of craziness. It almost feels like it gets much faster as you like continue moving the mouse around dynamically on the speed version. One of the kind of claims, the selling points of the Ultem is that it has much better anti-static properties than PTFE, and static buildup between your mouse skates and mouse pads. I mean, that's certainly a thing, so that can keep these more consistent feeling, I suppose. But yeah, just that slippery, low initial friction feeling, it is pretty crazy and not similar to anything I've tried. But yeah, these are $28 for 8 skates, so you fucking do the math on that. That is a lot of money per skate. It is pretty absurd in terms of cost, but like I've said, if you're watching at this point, you're probably not expecting like fucking budget mouse skates. And there is an entire other material that I haven't even touched on, Nylon66, which Artisan was also making some skate prototypes of. I tried those out in the past. I just don't have enough time on these. I don't know if anybody's reviewed these, but if anybody has and they have made it seem like they've had enough time to extensively test all of these skate options, both variations on different types of mouse pads, different in-game scenarios, like just look at all of the fucking mice I've had to install these skates on. It's just not possible. But yeah, the Nylon66, I guess just a way to generalize it would be, it feels like it's very good for stability and just stopping, like making straight lines. It definitely doesn't feel as slippery as some of the options, but I know a lot of you guys just want me to like tilt this down a slope and fucking call it a day, but that just doesn't really tell the in-game experience and the difference between some of these. But just in terms of, I guess, my favorites, or the ones that I feel like could be most worth experiencing, probably the Turcite speeds are up there. The Turcite balanced, it's probably one of the slower playing options out of everything. So they are safer if you want something a bit more controlled. Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, especially on hybrid mouse pads, is that the balanced version does seem to pick up a lot of the texture, whereas with the speed, you pick up a bit less of the texture. It's faster in general, and I do find stopping to really not be that hard as opposed to like the speed version of the Ultem, for example. But yeah, Turcite's definitely one of the safe options. You know, it is a mix of PTFE. I don't know exactly what the Polyacetal is, but I think that's a good option as well. Similar to what I said before, if you just want a PTFE experience-wise pretty much, but much faster. I kind of haven't even mentioned this, I don't think. nTech also does make just standard PTFE dot skates. I think they charge $15 for 8 of them, so that is very expensive. I, once again, have not had an opportunity to extensively test those. I don't even have enough small mice that I genuinely like to fucking test all of these. That's another thing you guys got to realize. And I did make this abomination on my Viper V3 Pro with like some nylon and Ultem. It's no good, whatever the fuck I did with that. But yeah, I also think the balanced Ultem, or the speed Ultem, if you're just somebody who likes to test kind of the cutting edge, I would say in terms of speed skates, these are probably the most interesting I've tried, but in terms of practicality, like this is not something I would enjoy using in Fortnite, especially compared to just the balanced version. nTech skates for now, and I guess I can do this disclaimer at the end of the video, because that's when you should do disclaimers, that most of my testing was done on this Hien Soft. I did test it on some just standard control pads like the Saturn Pro, the Artisan Zero Zebra Edition, and I just found the effects to be much more kind of like standardized. Like there's just not that much of a difference, but on a hybrid pad, that's where it's really brought out. I would not recommend these for glass pads. They're just generally no-goes. A few of them like feel awful and scrapey. A few of them are okay, but I just wouldn't recommend spending so much on something that might like wear down quicker on a glass pad. And yeah, also it is going to undeniably feel different from PTFE. These do have unique feelings to them, but it's not going to be a game-changing difference that's going to like make or break you as a player. And that goes without saying, but people are always like, oh, you're overhyping it. Like, no, these are cool. I'm going to keep them on their respective mice. I think some of these do have potential as materials, but yeah, you won't really know how it's going to feel on your setup until you have them applied on your mice. I mean, some of you guys fucking plaster these dots on with no rhyme or reason. You're going to want optimal dot placement. That's just kind of a random rant. But yeah, these are definitely an enthusiast's product. I enjoy them much more than any other like recent mouse kit. Actually, it's not. There is this other thing I gotta talk about in this video. The Ghost Glide Cyclones. I finally tried them, and this is pretty much just a confirmation that they're good. This is not going to be a review. I do think for a controlled, like hardened PTFE skate, they're fine for cloth pads, especially compared to X-Ray Pad Obsidians, the black ones. These are much smaller. I know X-Ray Pad just released some new Obsidians. It's impossible to keep up with the mouse skate market, guys. But yeah, these, I do like the size of them on glass. They're just fucking, they're silent, they're controlled, they're pretty blissful, and they're just great. The Ghost Glide Cyclones. They're great skates. It's like, what do you get? 40 of these? I could be off. For $15, $12? I don't even know. So that's not bad on the budget end, and they just are absolutely the best for glass pads until something else comes along and is better. And yeah, you can see the Obsidian Pros. They're definitely like on the controlled end, but they're not like fucking mud skates on something like the Hien, as you can see, and that is compared to the Turcite. You might see this, be like, is there any difference? Is this all a psyop? Who knows? Yeah, that's going to be about all for this very long-winded video on mouse skates. That could have been much longer. I mean, I didn't even test a good number of their options. So, yeah, don't expect a game-changing improvement. A big reason that these are so expensive is because of the actual cost of the materials as opposed to PTFE, along with the fact that these are machined in Japan as opposed to just like punched out of a sheet. So there definitely is a like premium craftsmanship side of the product. Once again, if you don't care about that, you just want the fucking cheapest skate that gets the job done, this obviously isn't going to be that. And apparently their PTFE options are extremely fast as well. So I will have a mouse skate tier list out at some point in the near future after I test a few more of these skate options. Any other questions, let me know in the comments below. That's going to be all. Very shocking mouse skates. Peace out.